What movie scene was super exaggerated or wrong based on your own knowledge? Any scene where a police team show up onto a crime scene and just start touching crap. I can feel the anger of the forensic teams walking around them who had to spend ages putting on all the gear and are sweating their balls off while some dickwad comes and contaminates their crime scene. I promise that if someone came and just started touching things IRL, they would probably become the murder victim courtesy of the forensic team. Sticks finger into pile of mysterious powder and licks it. Yup, that's coke. Mayo foe of here. Every grenade explosion in every movie I've ever seen, it's always portrayed as a giant fireball. The reality is that grenades, while lethal, are not that impressive visually. Yep, just concussion and shrapnel. In the 4th or 5th Fast and Furious movie, can't remember, Vin Diesel is working on a car and rolls out from underneath holding a SB Chevy water pump. After 20 years as a mechanic, I have never removed that style water pump from underneath. That would be like the dentist checking your teeth through your butthole. I hope to never see my teeth from my butthole. Any scene that takes place in San Francisco or New York City where a character pulls up their car and parks right in front of their apartment building. Or a high-speed chase in LA or any other big city. So I'm a hairdresser, and every time someone in a movie cuts their own hair with a knife or kitchen scissors without a mirror, then reappears in the next scene with a decent haircut, I die a little inside. My wife pointed that out in a movie recently. She complained their hair looks too good after chopping it off. House, no way. R13, foreman and the rest. A, taking care of a single patient. B, drawing labs, handling meds, nursing, performing colonoscopies, general surgery, brain surgery, neurosurgery, or valve replacements, cardiothoracic surgery. C, breaking into houses. Or D, not getting fired for blatant malpractice. It's like wish fulfillment for anyone who has been screwed around by the medical system. Doctors like that don't exist. I wish they did, or I might have a diagnosis by now. There was a scene in I think the 3rd Transformers movie with Shia LaBeouf working in the mailroom of an office. Like it's elaborated on that he's the bottom rung of the company. But then a Decepticon attacks and he runs through the building and into the data hall server room. I was working in an office with a data hall at the time and was furious. Data hall is the most secure location in the entire building. You can't just run into it, and some mailroom pleb wouldn't have access even if you could. Last time I worked in a large organization like that, you couldn't even go into the mailroom without clearance. Any movie ever where 2 characters break off from the group, walk 2 steps away, have a separate conversation, and then rejoin the group as if everyone else couldn't have heard them talking. They were right there. The way diabetes, specifically type 1, is depicted in any film, Con Air had me furious, and don't get me started on Panic Room. For clarification, high blood sugar is rarely, pretty much never, a medical emergency. A low blood sugar is definitely a medical emergency, but you don't want to give them their insulin. If you give them insulin when they are low, you've just killed them. I am petrified of what might happen if I'm hypoglycemic in public because so many people get this wrong, and movies like these play a huge part in that. Also, when they are low and do actually eat something, but it's either some slow acting carb or barely anything, I need to see the stumble walk to the fridge and subsequent feast that actually happens. The bits of cryptography and computer science that made it into the Imitation Game were all nonsense. They confuse a very special purpose machine with a general purpose computer. He attempts to go from nothing to fully functional machine without a simpler proof of concept machine, i.e., one attacking a code machine with dramatically fewer parts. His machine has no possible means of functioning, because they don't come up with the idea of using a crib until late in the movie. So what was the machine looking for? Nobody seems to have any idea how long the machine will take to do anything. They don't demonstrate test it against known codes. The manual code breakers give up at midnight and start again with new codes the next day. That's nonsense. They knew they had little hope of cracking a code in a day, so they would be focused on developing their algorithm against a static set of codes, likely ones with known clear texts. Nothing about their effort made any sense. After the movie, I went and read some of the actual story, and yeah, the movie is completely disconnected from reality. Also, don't forget the fact that Turing didn't break Enigma. Polish cryptanalysts did. He just industrialized their process. He was a genius. He did a lot for computer science, but he never broke Enigma. Silences aren't nearly as quiet as most movies make them seem. The bang will still be loud, just not deafen everyone standing nearby loud. Movies make it seem like you can sneak around a base picking people off and nobody will notice. Anytime someone comes back to life and is immediately conscious and awakened like OMG you saved my life, thank you, that's right, I am looking at you. Medical shows. As an EMT of 5 years and worked in the emergency room, that never happens. There is no quick wake up like nothing ever happened. It may take days or weeks for a revived person to regain consciousness, or they may never. Your brain has been without oxygen for who knows how long. That causes major damage. Most medical TV shows are awful drams, except Scrubs. I heard once that Scrubs was actually one of the most factual medical series ever aired on television. I need to go watch that series again. Almost all war movies where a shell goes off within 10 feet of someone and it throws them around and they continue running. I'm looking at you, Tom Cruise. Their organs would be liquefied, and bits of shrapnel would finish the job. It's called plot armor. Niku Nurse here. So basically most delivery and infant scenes. So many of them are completely misleading. My girlfriend was watching some show last night and I heard 2 placentas means 2 different fathers. No, it absolutely does not. When your water breaks IRL, it basically just means you're currently in labor. When your water breaks on TV, it means the baby is actively being born. I'm a graphic designer, so anytime I see typography in historical shows or movies that's off, I notice it right away. Recently, I watched Bridgerton on Netflix, and on Lady Whistledown's Society Papers, they use a footmark instead of an apostrophe in the kerning. Space between letters is loose enough to drive a car through. No self-respecting typesetter in Regency area London would have printed something so shoddy. Get it together, Shonda. The travel scene in San Andreas with The Rock. I love him as an actor. I love apocalyptic movies, but I regularly travel from LA to the Bay Area. No way do you get there that fast. No freaking way. Even if you get a magical helicopter and or boat. Just no. On the TV show 24, where each episode was supposedly 1 hour in real time, Jack Bauer at one point got clear across LA in 20 or so minutes. For people who don't live out there, offering to drive someone to LAX is a sign of true friendship. It is killing most of their day. The Hunger Games was filmed in my neck of the woods. The white flowers Katniss puts around Rue's body are queen anne's lace, but locals call it chiggerweed because little bugs that can crawl into your skin and itch like crazy like to live on them. The amount of stuff I'm learning in this thread on movies is awesome. Also, chiggers are awful and will meet mosquitoes in heck. In Aquaman, when there are 2 lines of people lined up against each other, underwater, one side is on sharks, the other on those giant seahorses. They have the animals growling at each other. None of those animals have lungs or vocal cords. They have gills. The most they could do is fart loudly if they were extra gassy. Someone needs to edit the scene, remove the growls, and add a couple loud fart noises. The scene in Mary Queen of Scots when Mary and Elizabeth meet. They never met, and from what I've read, Elizabeth didn't feel all that sorry for Mary. Mary was also with the Queen of Scots, but she moved to France when she was 5 and it was her most fluent language, so would have had a French accent most likely. TV show. Glee. I'm a retired HS choral director. There is no way you put complex music like that together in 1 hour. Nope, not happening. I've taught their arrangements to my choirs, and it takes all dang semester to get them ready. As a member of several bands, the fact that they often decide on the spot the song that they're going to play in the band just starts upsets off my nerves. We need music, whether it's full-blown sheet music or just lead sheets, but definitely something. As a therapist, it's funny how productions try to represent what a therapy session is like. No 2 therapists or patients are the same, so maybe some therapists practice like the movies, but the ethical boundaries or just frowned upon things therapists say and do on screen are silly. I was looking for this comment. The way therapists are portrayed in nearly every movie is laughable. Anytime anyone does CPR. I was a Boy Scout. I took CPR classes, etc. If you're doing it right, you're using your whole body, with enough force to break a rib. I understand why actors don't want to do that, but I seen them with bent elbows, and it just breaks any immersion I have instantly. The issue is that people see that and think that's what CPR is supposed to be like. Then when the real deal happens to them, they sue because they think the person was unnecessarily forceful. Not strictly a movie, but a TV show. For the life of me, I cannot figure out what job the guys had on The Big Bang Theory. 1. They clearly aren't graduate students, as they've all got PhDs, except for Wolowitz. 2. They're not tenure track faculty, as there was an episode where they all fought for the open tenure position, which they wouldn't be in competition for unless they didn't have that job already. 3. They never really met the definition of a postdoc, as that would be under the supervision of a tenure track faculty member. And they never mentioned having a boss other than the president of the university, who was way more invested in what they were doing than he should be. Note below. Also, postdocs are temporary positions, so they should have been looking for a real job from day one of the show. There's too much long-term stability in that position. 4. They don't seem to have any sort of faculty position at all, as, except for one episode, there was no mention of teaching responsibilities. They are 100% researchers, with zero expected teaching responsibility, and nobody ever mentioned committee work, which is a shame. Because you know Sheldon would be on every possible committee he could, and then you'd have episodes where everybody else had to be on a committee with him. They supposedly had advisors on the show that made sure the science was correct, but their whole academic culture involved is just wrong. Note, the president shouldn't be involved in specific research projects ever. They shouldn't have to run ideas past him for approval, and he doesn't hold the purse strings for funding. Just, OMG. Freaking no. ETA.4. Anything that's ever involved banking, working in the industry for 5 minutes, you know 99% of any kind of theft or fraud or anything is entirely bulls. The one that really bummed me out was that it killed that Futurama episode for me, where he woke up with billions of dollars in interest. No dice fry. That money goes to the new New York State Treasury, while he probably would have been ruled dead in absentia and his savings sent to probate. The interesting thing about that episode is that they do calculate the interest accurately. My cousin Vinny, when Marissa Tomei is called as a surprise expert witness. Ironically, the movie is so accurate for other legal matters it's almost mandatory to watch a few scenes in every US law school, and even more ironic is that the scene in particular is prized as an example of how to establish a witness as an expert. A third level of irony is Tomei explains earlier to Passy how discovery works. No surprises. But no way in an Iral murder trial is a lawyer's girlfriend suddenly allowed to testify as an expert witness. Still though, what a fantastic movie. In movies with Navy submarines, sometimes they make it seem like they go for a 24-degree angle in 2 seconds and everyone goes flying. That's not how it works. It's more of a 10-15 degree angle over a shorter time and everyone just gets used to the new angle. Anything involving casinos or gambling. I worked as a croupier for a long ass time, and every TV or movie portrayal of a casino or card game is laughably bad. Casino Royale still kills me. Straight flush over full house over full house over flush. GTFOH. Also, anytime they try to call a bet by throwing their keys in the pot, or say I see your bet, and I raise you. Crocodile Dundee. Every freaking American thinks we say shrimp on the Barbie. Nobody says that. We don't call them shrimp either, it's prawns. Prawns. Also, not everyone has the rich thick bogan Australian accent. Disney Channel bully scenes. I was bullied a lot, and even I know that very few people are ever that outright rude, mean, sarcastic. Kids are passive aggressive with their bullying, and even when they're loud about it they aren't whatever major losers Ed snap about it. In reality, every movie's bully would definitely be bullied in real life. Anytime a horse appears on screen, I start cringing about all the bad horsemanship and inaccurate and actually dangerous things that are on the horizon. I really try not to think about it, but after 30 plus years working with horses and 40 plus years being totally into history, I get confused when I see Frisians in weird places. Gets off horse, leaves horse with all tack on in woods and walks away, comes back 10 minutes later and horse hasn't moved or stepped on reins. Almost any chase scene with a cargo truck tractor trailer involves some really ridiculous errors in how those vehicles function. Most recently I rewatched Casino Royale and the fuel truck at the airport scene almost had me screaming at the TV. Doctor Strange. Stephen Strange gets in a car accident and the crash causes the dashboard to roll back and crush his hands, which is kinda the catalyst for the rest of the movie, but it wouldn't happen like that. Stephen is driving a luxury racing car. When you're in one of those you're basically in a tub sitting in a really strong frame. It doesn't crash like that. And also, that road he's on way more traffic. It would not take a few hours to find him. Source: I watched Doctor Strange with a firefighter. Yeah, also those super sports cars have a crap ton of airbags that would have saved him. And I don't mean the classic frontal airbag. They also have sideways airbags. Any period piece where the clothes are too freaking modern. Why the heck are these women not wearing chemises? As someone WHO has worn a corset. For the sakes of period accuracy, they are super uncomfortable without them not saying they're uncomfortable in general, just saying it's like some of the whalebone sticks through. Also, depending on who is wearing the corset matters. You would definitely not be seeing some random peasant woman wearing a corset with no chemise. Even noble women would wear them for the sake of an underlayer. Well, of course, Independence Day when Jeff Goldblum wireless connects his Mac laptop to the alien mothership and infects it with a virus. There was a scene cut from the movie that explained that all of Earth's computing technology was developed from reverse engineering the alien ship that crashed. All these CSI type shows, the guys are like, leave the lights off. I need to experience the scene like the killer did. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If you're on your hands and knees looking for loose hairs, do you want complete darkness? Dang. I've been collecting samples in the dark for 8 hours. I think I have enough to catch the killer. Ha, we caught him 4 hours ago. He dropped his wallet in the hallway. Turn on a freaking light and you would have noticed. This will probably get buried, but oh well. In Snakes on a Plane. I know. Famed for so much realism. What bothered me wasn't any of the obvious things. Things like, you know, snakes crawling up out of the septic into the toilet to bite a man square on the brown eye. It wasn't the fact that Samuel L. Jackson actually agreed to do such a ridiculous thing. No, it wasn't even the entire, stupendously unbelievable premise that bothered me. What bothered me is that somehow, in a 747, an admittedly large aircraft, there were freaking miles of crawl spaces. That's not how IT freaking works. Every tiny bit of space is about utility on those suckers. They don't go around saying, ah, yes, and here we'll have a foyer with potentially vital controls, unconnected to any reasonable way to access it, because we have these freaking miles of tight, barely crawling passages. Gee, Bill, don't you think maybe we could add extra cargo space or passenger seating by taking out just some of the tunnels? Frick em, I finalized the designs already, and I like crawl spaces. The Shermans having to get close to the Tiger I in Fury to penetrate the armor, even though the 75mm cannon on 3 of the Shermans and the 76mm on the Fury would have had no problem in destroying that Tiger from that short distance. Possibly worse than that was the German soldiers running at the front of the stranded tank. You know, where the bow and Coke's machine guns are pointing. Again and again. Instead of, I don't know, approaching from the side. Flanking. It's something even Hitler Youth know about. Either your suggestion or mine. This movie was the first thing that came to mind when I saw the title. Every American high school where the bell rings and the teacher tells them what to do for homework while they're walking out. Idiot. Every American high school where the teacher seems to have only one class over and over with the same kids in it. Every American high school where the teacher is a complete butthole who takes delight in making their students feel like crap. I mean, I know those people are out there, but this is so far from what 99.9% of teachers do on a regular basis. We work so hard not to make kids feel like crap because the rest of the world is doing it to them all the time already. Backdraft with Kurt Russell. Just let me say, in my 20 plus years of firefighting, I have never seen so little smoke inside a burning building. Usually you can't see jack and are crawling around looking for actual flames. It's not purposefully wrong or a mistake because it was based on the historically accepted version of events when the film was made, but Cameron's depiction of Titanic's breakup is most likely a little exaggerated, and some of it we now know to be wrong. Not Cameron's fault. What he shot was what we thought happened. It's only in the last decade that we've realized Titanic's breakup probably happened a different way. I'm 100% sure the propeller guy actually happened that way though. It's likely to have been mentioned already, but Braveheart is quite historically inaccurate. One example of many is the fact that by that point in time the Scots were wearing armor, not kilts as depicted for dramatic effect. The Book of Eli. Spoiler. The story is about a blind man traveling with a Braille version of the King James Bible. The book that he carries is pretty thick, but it's nowhere near as big as the entire Bible would be in Braille. A full King James Bible in Braille would be around 6 foot tall. However, if you look over that detail, it still is a good movie. The dang scene in Jurassic World where he is clicker training the raptors. There is so much wrong with it that it actually makes me mad watching it. Blue click 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 click, easy click 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 click. Jeebus, not how clicker training works, you ignorant are. It's like they consulted with someone about what tools an animal trainer might have, but they didn't bother to learn anything about how the tools get used. Or maybe they did see examples of clicker training in practice, but they decided it didn't look exciting enough on screen. Although I haven't seen it in a while, so I can't confirm this 100%. I am pretty sure that the last poker scene in Casino Royale, with the black dude and the Asian guy, would never happen at a poker table. They could have got an actual poker dealer there, or at least someone with a general idea. Not to mention one of them goes all on 2 pair, with a potential straight flush on the board. Homie, what is you doing? It is an incredibly bad poker scene, but I'm pretty the dude was actually a poker dealer from what I've read on the movie. I guess there's only so much you can when they tell you to just follow the script. Same with Bond tipping him a chip in a tournament and not a cash game at the end when that would have no actual value. Not a specific movie, but anytime a normal person is driving a normal car, and the tires screech whenever they stop or first start. I mean, sure, that happens when somebody is making a speedy getaway or something. But I doubt Betty in her Toyota Camry is going to come to a screeching stop in driveway on her way home from work. I don't know how many times I have seen in movies car tires squealing under acceleration on gravel. Anytime someone does drugs and they try to show what it's like. I thought Midsommar did a solid job with mushrooms. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.